$100 million to fix this, the Blizzard would never invest like that. There's no way. Oh my god. Wait. So they were actually patching the game that they had and working on a secret project in the back. You know what Blizzard did in BFA? They left that into the dirt and they were making Shadowlands. Oh my god, dude. We didn't have a single patch for such a long time. Do you remember the last patch of BFA? Dude, it was so long. Did they actually pause selling the game because people couldn't log in? Wow. That actually like respect boom. Because a lot of companies, even though it's crowded and you can't even go into the server, they would like continue selling it, right?
We can't just expect our users to say, oh, they're going to release expansion, so we can do whatever we want and doesn't matter, they'll buy it, ha ha ha. You know, there was not.
Yeah, I wonder what company says that. Check. Can we re-listen to that real fast? Oh, they're gonna release another expansion, so we can do whatever we want, and it doesn't matter. They'll buy it. Dude. Oh my god, that's been our whole life, man. This video is really good. Okay.
Hello and welcome to Shinjuku, Tokyo, home of Godzilla, restaurants full of dancing robots, and Square Enix, one of the most prolific video game companies in the world.
For the past few months I've been playing catch up with this story, playing the latest version of the game, talking to players, and watching community retrospective series like the Speakers Network's fantastic Fall and Rise of Final Fantasy XIV. My goal, to make sure we asked the right questions when we sat down with the team. During our time here in Shinjuku, we're going to talk to everyone from the engineers who worked on the original game, to the localization leads, community managers, and even the CEO of the company. All to allow them the opportunity to tell their side of this fascinating story.
The Japanese base game, Final Fantasy XI, had already released, and they were working on the first expansion pack, Rise of the Zalart. I was part of the team that was working to get the base game and Rise of Zalart all translated before the Japanese Rise of Zalart was finished, so we could all release at the same time.
Right. Did you get it on time?
I got it on time. I haven't missed a deadline yet.
This guy sounds so nice. Shit.
Final Fantasy XI
sounds
was
like
a
a
huge
good
success
person.
for Square Enix. It established a concurrent user base of around 250,000 players for years. It was the most profitable Final Fantasy game ever, and at one stage was the 6th most popular game on all of Xbox Live. More than that, it established,
you know, you get that
the
vibe when you
Japanese
talk to
style of
someone, you're
MMO.
like, that guy's
When
really
the decision
nice.
was made in 2005
And then
to
there's
start
like
work on a
people you talk to,
sequel,
they're like,
the
they
new
sound
MMO
like
was built around
really
things that
mean.
made 11 successful, focusing like most Final Fantasy games do on beautiful graphics and an interesting battle system. This new game was to be directed and produced by the same duo that shipped 11, series veteran Hiromichi Tanaka and Nobuaki Komodo. Final Fantasy XIV was announced for Windows and PlayStation 3 in 2009, but behind the scenes the development team was struggling to put the pieces of its new world together.
Like I mentioned before, again, localization being in a position where we get to see all the parts come together first. We were some of the first to realize that, you know, Houston, we have a problem. That type of situation. I mean, you know, you had the battle team, they're like, yes, we have this great battle system, you know, with stamina and these things that you can do. And then you had the story team, like, yes, we have this story. Oh, hey, we have these guild leads and all of these parts. And everyone was really, really proud of their parts. You know, look at this grass, it's so beautiful. Look at this barrel, it's the, you know, the most beautiful barrel ever to be, you know, represented in graphical form.
It's got as many polygons as the character.
Yes.
Yeah, if I made anything in the game, dude, I'll be so proud of that. If I made a fish, I'll be like, dude, that fish, I made that. Look how good it is. I'd be so proud, man.
And all of those parts, you know, all of these teams, again, very, very proud of their work. I mean, you have, the team was, you know, put together with some of the best minds in Square Enix. You had people that were, you know, leads that could probably even, you know, lead their own projects, were all come together, and it became a lot of just tiny little groups making something that was really great.
1K polygon.
Once you put it together, it was kind of a mess. And no one really knew that, except for localization and probably QA as well. And we were like, okay, we need to do something. But by then it was one of those, it's kind of too late to do anything.
Catgirl was the best
for
thing.
us, we would be looking at the text, and some of it, you know, it wouldn't make sense, or it would just be
Very
really
true.
bland.
It's very true.
If there's any way to make this game better, what can we do?
It's
It's
the
like, well,
base
I can take this text and maybe add some more stuff into it, add some more flavor to it, and, you know, maybe that will distract people from the fact that the battle is not that fun.
At a fundamental level, the piecemeal design of the game was causing problems. Graphics were inconsistent. While many elements of the world were copy and pasted ad nauseum, some environmental objects had as many polygons and shaders as a character model. The battle system was just confusing. The game didn't have elements fundamental to most modern MMOs, things like jumping, auto attack, and the ability to interact with the map using
having
the
no
mouse.
jump,
it had
I
a system
cannot
that
play a game
nerfed
with that.
hardcore players to make sure they didn't level up too fast. The UI was confusing, crafting was incredibly complex and took forever, and simply there just wasn't enough content. The closed beta wasn't going well. They needed more time to fix these problems, so the open beta was pushed back to within a month before launch. The team knew there were problems, and they were getting frustrated.
で今まで話していた仕事っていうのは大体その2010年の1月から、実際にリリースされる 8月ぐらいまでの間にやっていたことで、ゲームが本当に良くないっていうのがこう、みんなに認識されて自覚されていくっていうのは結局ベータが始まって製品版が始まってっていう、8月9月10月ぐらいまでの期間に起きたことなんですので、実際にはこうチーム内の意識としてもリリース前、そのベータが始まる前から本当にこれをリリースしていいものかどうかっていう議論はある程度そのチーム全体でそのオフィシャルであったわけではないですけれども、開発者の中ではやはりその世に出していいクオリティかどうかっていうところは議論がありました。
When 1.0 was getting made, was the mentality that, oh, we're not like, that's like their thing and we have our very own successful thing over here, we're going to just make another one of those?
Right, and that's really what it felt like, is that we're going to continue doing what we did because it succeeded before, why wouldn't it succeed again? And seeing that direction, them taking that direction, and knowing that, having worked on 11, that yes, they were very successful, seeing the success that they had with Final Fantasy XI, seeing these great creators, creating something that was, revolutionary. But then on the other hand, knowing that what they were doing was, but maybe that worked 6 or 7 years ago, but a lot of things have changed since then. And I think there was even one guy on the localization team that got to that point where he just got so frustrated that he just wrote this scathing mail and sent it out to the whole team before telling anyone else on localization he was going to write it. And then we all get it at the same time, the devs team. We're reading, it's like, wow, this is really terrible. I hope he doesn't, he sent it to the whole team. Because he just got really frustrated because he could, to him, they were being very stubborn. They weren't, they hadn't moved on. Whereas the rest of the world had moved on and adapted, with the release of WoW and what they had done. Whereas, the team here was like, no, we're going to stick with what we know, and that's good enough.
Then start feeling more concerning the situation. This is not fixed. You announced the launch date, but it's not fixed. So, but still, some major portion of people are still thinking, believing.
Dude, Blizzard did this with Warcraft 3, chat. It wasn't ready, but they released it. Warcraft 3.
You announced the launch date, but it's not fixed. So
I feel like it's okay for them to push it if it's not ready. I'd rather have a finished product than an unfinished product get released.
No, it's better. Still better. Last phase, but still better. So it could be, fixed or changed at the launch timing.
Kind of went from thinking, okay, this project's going to be great, to, there might be some problems. Can we fix them? Can we fix them? Okay, we can't fix them. Is there anything we can do? I don't know. It was a very taxing experience.
The team crossed their fingers and hoped that the game's beta problems were simply that, the same issues that most MMOs have, ones that could be fixed with patches once the game entered live operations. And so Final Fantasy XIV Online launched on September 30th, 2010. It sold well its first week, and after a month had over 600,000 players swarming into its world. But it didn't take long for the cracks to appear. The problems in the beta were echoed by new players. The game was sluggish, the servers crashed, and Eorzeans quickly ran out of things to do. Quests were limited, and the fatigue system even made grinding for XP next to impossible. critics ate it alive too.
Let's get right down to it. Unless you've got the patience of Job or some kind of masochist, you shouldn't play Final Fantasy XIV. Its problems are so vast that I could spend hours talking about them. The awful interface, the recycled content, the stringent limits on questing, the useless maps, the stupid market ward, these issues and dozens more constantly have you asking that age-old question, what were they thinking?
So, what was it like seeing public reaction?
Yeah, it was very, I mean, very disheartening. Because you'd want to look at those and you'd want to say, no, they don't understand, they don't know, what's going on here, or but deep down, you'd know they were right, and that was what kind of, that dagger in your heart.
You think Blizzard knows that, chat? When we talk about Shadowland, you think they know?
The people that I worked with
it's
are
right.
the greatest people.
You know how he said they know they're right?
Work with a lot of them.
Or do you think Blizzard's like, nah, F these guys, I don't know what they're talking about. They know? Yeah, they have to know. They must know, dude.
Before an FF11, I consider them not only co-workers but friends. But and then you see people online, bashing the work they did, and I know how hard they worked. I know how many hours they put in. I know that, like, in the last 3 or 4 months, people were basically living at work, all putting their 100% into this game that was, destined to kind of crash and burn. And then to have people online just say, oh, that sucks, this person is a piece of shit, and their work is terrible.
Feels bad, man.
It hurts, but it hurts more because if I was not here and was a user and had played that game, I probably would have said the same thing.
Damn, he's based, dude. He's based. So at the time, I was a CFO, but I didn't notice the biggest difference between the issue that happened around Final Fantasy XI.
私CFO やってたんで見てたんですけれども、ローンチのタイミングやっぱり一番大きく違ったのは11の時のいろいろごたごたねと
This is the original 14. Despite the issues were happening in Final Fantasy XI, the game was still fairly received.
ゲームに関して言うと、さすがに相当やっぱり相当程度やっぱり受け入れファン相当のやっぱり評価されたんですよね。でオペレーション上の、ね、トラブルとかっていろいろ多分あるっていうのは、これはある程度つきもので、大変だったんですけれども、それはあったんですけど、ゲーム内容に関して言うと非常に評価されたというふうに理解してますけれども、前作の場合の一番やっぱ私はちょっとまずいなこれって思ったのは、やっぱりゲーム自体の評価が非常に厳しいものだったということですね。これはちょっとやっぱり相当大丈夫かなというのを、ローンチした後ね、やっぱりそこはね非常にリアルに感じましたね。それはそうですね、ローンチして、しばらく経って、そんなに長い期間じゃなかったですね。そうしばらくなんでやっぱり相当なこのままで大丈夫なのかっていう。
Top of it?
社内の相当やっぱり議論ありましたね。
I mean, the first few months was just an endless stream of translating apology mails from producers and directors and finding out, trying to figure out different ways of saying we're sorry.
The most important thing is
because the more you say it, the less weight it has. But Japan being a country where people apologize a lot, that's part of the culture. But then trying to translate that, it's like, okay, this is the 10th time I've said sorry in this one post, and then from the American myself, it's like, yeah, people are going to look at that as insincere. The more you apologize, the more and then trying to explain that to the team, it's like, no, we have to apologize. It's like, yes, you have to apologize, but and it just became, we weren't talking about the game anymore. We were talking about how to translate apologies, and it seemed like that lasted for a couple months.
Actually, we see a huge drop. I mean, right after the launch timing, we got some good number of the subscribers. Then that fall. I mean, as you can imagine. So I mean, it was failure, and we announced failure. So we see lots of decline.
さっきも話した通り、実際にはその
I'm surprised they brought it back though. I feel like a company, if it didn't do too well, wouldn't they scrap that? Glad they refixed it though.
ベータが始まってもそうなんですけど、常に疑問はあったので、リリースして実際にただそれまでにチーム内にあった空気はやはり出したら意外と受け入れられる可能性があるんじゃないかっていう
Just lock him into 6 months sub with a shiny new mount.
出せばどうにかなるのかも。
Actually, yeah, they got me good with that.
何の根拠もない 希望的なものがあったんです。で出た結果結局そんな魔法は起きなくて、やはり
But I've always played well, so I always did the
自分
6 month
たちが
because
感
you
じてる通り
save.
にまだ世に出すには早いというか、世に出せるクオリティに達していない商品を出してしまったっていう気持ちはみんなにあったので、実際に改善しなきゃっていうか根本的に対応しなきゃいけないっていうところはチーム内に割とすぐ広がったと思ってます。なので特にすごいそんなことはないっていう意見がすごく強くあって、誰かを説得しなきゃいけないみたいなことは特になかったですね。
Today, Square Enix is based across multiple floors in a modern office complex in Shinjuku, Tokyo. It's a company that is often designing multiple
Hey,
projects at once.
Cactus
And while
guy.
Final Fantasy XIV was being developed, in another part of the building a different game was being made. Produced by a Final Fantasy fan, his name, Naoki Yoshida.
一番最初はファミリーコンピューターUS だとエンターテインメントシステムかのマリオブラザーズが一番最初にプレイしたゲームです。とにかくテレビの中、テレビっていうのは見るものだと思っていた子供の時に。ところがマリオブラザーズで初めてコントローラーを握ってゲームをプレイした時に、まずそもそもテレビのものを自分が自由に動かせるっていうことがものすごいショック。
Yeah, it's actually so shocking when you think about it, chat. Like, you ever think about when you have the controller and you press a button and it jumps like right away? Man, that's kind of crazy, chat. Am I stupid for thinking like that? If you really think about it, it's like you press this and it's like
ドラゴンクエストっていう日本で RPG を大きく広めたタイトルを初めて触った時に
On top of that, there's the internet connection. Oh my.
でこんなにまたさらにゲームは面白くなるんだっていうのを、特にストーリーラインがあってっていう、また次のカルチャーを受けて RPG っていうジャンルにものすごくなんだろうフォーカスして
Titan fried your brain.
当然翌年に出たファイナルファンタジーにも映画的な演出ファンタジーをより強く打ち出したっていうところにもすごい衝撃を受けてたので、
we're on Titan way too long
僕の中でドラゴンクエストとファイナルファンタジーっていうのはすごい大きかったですね当時。
It is crazy.
Like most Japanese players at the time, Yoshida-san played all the early Final Fantasy games. He holds them in high regard, though he still holds the bitter memory of not being able to save before the last dungeon in Final Fantasy III. But when he was 11 years old, a brand new type of gaming experience arrived at home. His uncle gave him a PC. On this PC, the young gamer learned how to program BASIC. His first video game centered around trying to break into a bank vault. But this PC also exposed him to a spectrum of gaming that eluded most Japanese players. Western role-playing games. He fell in love with games like Diablo and was stunned when he first went online and played with other players.
でその翌年にウルティマオンラインをベータからプレイし、先輩にとにかくすげえゲームあるって言われて、ウルティマオンラインをベータから始めたのが初めて MMO をプレイした作品で、やっぱり同じような3回目の衝撃、3000人が同時に一つの世界で
3,000 people concurrently play. The thing is, PC was expensive back then.
まあウルティマは本当に自由度のウルティマオンラインはとにかく初期は自由度がめちゃくちゃ高いゲームだったので、いわゆるロードの称号をつけたなんて言ったらいいんだろうな、すごく紳士的なというかコミュニティリーダー的プレイをするキャラクターと、完全に悪のプレイヤーキラーをやるキャラクターを2つ作って、どっちもものすごい遊んでたし。
Why is it so loud, dude? I'm pausing it.
やっぱりMMORPG っていうゲームがどう作られているのか、どういったエンジニアリングが必要なのかっていうのもものすごいそこで勉強させてもらったと思います。もうその頃からはコンソールと同じぐらいの比重で PC でゲームをかなり遊ぶようになってたので、自分で PC パーツ買ってきて組み立てたりしてたし、でやっぱりそのあたりで FPS もかなりプレイし始めてたし、特に 3DMMO のスタートであるエヴァクエスト その後プレイをし始めて、当時エヴァクエストのパッケージを日本で手に入れるのが本当に大変で、出張で東京に来た時に秋葉原をね、
How come EverQuest didn't make a new game, chat?
こううろうろしてエヴァクエストってゲームないですか
Like WoW got
エヴァクエストって
inspired by
何ですか
EverQuest too, right? They did? Oh, did they?
Ishida-san would embark on a career in games that would eventually see him joining Square Enix to work on the Dragon Quest series. Though he wasn't working on the Final Fantasy team, he was part of the umbrella group that was allocating programmers to various projects. He didn't have granular visibility on FF14, but he knew the team was struggling. I asked from his perspective as a producer where he thought the game's problems were coming from.
まあわかんない、これ広報にカットされるのかもしれないけど、クリスタルツールズって呼ばれるミドルウェアを
Risk
全
of
社
cut.
でその作ろうとしていたので、腕のいいプログラマーが全部そのチームに各なんだろうゲームラインから招集されて、そのメインプログラマーがみんないないっていう状態になってしまったので、どのプロジェクトもものすごい大変な時期だった。まあオリジナルの14がああなったってしまった。
There were monsters in the city? What the hell?
さらに2つ大きな問題がそこに
That never happened in my story.
スクエアエニックスその全体にプレイステーション2のジェネレーションで本当に世界一クオリティグラフィックスのクオリティが高い、そしてゲームエクスペリエンスがものすごく詰まったゲームをたくさんリリースしたので、本当にこうなんていうんだろう、ある意味自信過剰にもうなっていた時期で、自分たちが世界一だし自分たちのグラフィックスこそが世界一だし、その作り方はその自分たちにしかできない。だからなんだろう、でも超巨大な成功体験ってやっぱり足かせというかにもなる例だと思うんですけど。
I remember me and my brothers loved 17 so much, and you know, I mean not 17, Final Fantasy 7. It comes with a little book, and we would always like look through that book, and there was like characters like Cloud, Tifa, Barrett, everyone, and we're like, oh man, this is so cool. And we used to read like everything about that.
ものすごくおごってた、まあ悪い言い方をすればおごってた時期だ
Just
った
random
と思う
thought seeing the old Final Fantasy games.
例えるとその刀を作る刀匠のような職人
I didn't play the 7 remake, but I really want to, because that was the first Final Fantasy we touched. Me and my brothers.
世界一のクオリティを作り上げていたんだけ
I
ど、
want to touch the 7 remake, but don't you need a PlayStation for that?
まあ特にその北米を中
I
心
don't
に
own a
テクノロジーでそれ
console.
をカバーするっていうところをずっと追求してき
17 no, I
た
meant 7.
時期で、プレイステーション3の世代になった瞬間にテクノロジーの方がそれを上回るっていう時期が来たせいで、作り方を変えようとはしないし、
Oh, 9 is really long, got it.
だけど
I haven't
テクノ
tried
ロジ
that.
ーも追いつけないっていうことから、さらにそれを知ってるはずのプログラマーたちはミドルウェアの制作に行ってるっていう状態で、でもグラフィックス作ってるそのアーティストたちは自分たちの作り方こそが世界一だと思ってるので、古い作り方で引き続きものすごく負荷のかかるやり方でアセットを作ってたので、もうそれらが絡まってっていうのがまあもう一つの大きな、さっき2つあるって言った問題の1つ目がそれですね。もう一つはプライドはいついかなる時でもとても大切なものだとは思うんですけど、そこにやっぱり超巨大な成功体験をしたっていうこと自体が乗っかってきちゃうと、その自分たちの作るゲームこそがベストであって他をあんまり見る必要がないっていう時期でもあったんじゃないかなと思っていて、例えば当時世界多分 MMORPG を知ってる人に
Do you know MMO?
世
If you
界
ask
最
this
大の
100 people,
MMORPG は何ですかって言ったら
yeah, just ignore that young
100
fella.
人がワールド・オブ・ウォ
It's
ークラ
not
フトって
true.
言ったはずなのに誰もプレイしてない、開発チームが。
Mighty.
これはワ
Thank you,
ールド・オブ・ウォークラフトを知ってるか知ってないかっていう話だけの話をしてるんじゃなくて、その自分たちが世の中に対して新しいそのビデオゲームをリリースしようとするときにライバルになるタイトルは何だろうとか、ユーザーは今プレイヤーはどこにそのゲームエクスペリエンスの最新の状態をプレイしてるんだろうっていうのを知らないっていうのが、
I enjoyed
そ
Mop
の
with my
感覚として
brothers.
僕には結構信じられない なんでもっとみんなゲームプレイしないの、だって自分たちが今どの辺りにいるか分かんなくなっちゃうよっていうのがまあ言いたい。で特に14の場合に関してはもちろんファイナルファンタジー11の超巨大な成功体験っていうのが邪魔をしたっていうのもあるとは思うんだけど、
I had the craziest world PvPs in
エヴァクエスト
MoP.
を徹底的にプレイをして
Because you know how in WoD they separated where you spawn from? But in MoP, you spawn in the same zone. So like everyone was on the helicopter. I remember I was on the helicopter for like 10 hours because server lag. And then once you get off, like you just fight Horde and Alliance all over the place. It was crazy good.
だから
I
こそ
liked that a
11
lot.
を作ったはずなの
I
に
did Dex,
新しいレストラン
then,
を
and Hello
オー
Stoops.
プンするときに隣にあるレストランがどんなメニューを出していてどんなサービスをしているかを知らずにレストラン作る開店させる人はいないんじゃないって。
So just at the launch stage then of
I'm paying
1.0,
attention.
What was
You
the
see, it was like
feeling
trying to
within
reopen a
Square
restaurant.
Enix? The beta was quite close to launch. Were people anticipating that there would be negative feedback, or were they less aware that that was going to happen, I guess?
僕は他のチームにいてすごくベータの評判が悪いっていうのはネットでニュースは見てましたね。ただ多かれ少なかれ MMORPG のローンチは絶対にまあ荒れやすい、そうサーバーがすぐ落ちるとか、まあ、ストレステストをやってるけどプレイヤーの方は遊びたいからやっぱりサーバーが落ちるとやっぱりすごく文句を言って当然だと思いますし、だから僕もやっぱり11を作ったチームだからまあそうは言っても11のやっぱり完成度が高いのでそこと比較をしてあの機能がないこの機能がないっていう話をしてるのかなっていうふうに思ってた。僕は僕自身の開発が忙しかったのもあって、ただそれも少しずつ収まっていくんだろうなっていうふうに僕は当時は見てた。ただ別の角度今度はそのオリジナルの14チームの中のその視点としては
It looks
このま
cool
まだ
to
と
work
本当に
there.
まずいもっと時間をかけて品質を上げないとっていうもちろん声を上げる人
I
た
always
ちも
wanted to
いた
make games when I was little,
けれど
chat. That was one of my
最初
dreams.
まあ全体の判断として
It
は
was either I would become a
ファイナルファンタジ
dentist
ー11
or
の
make
スタートもそうだ
games.
ったと
That was my
機能た
dream.
くさんなかったし
Whenever like
すごく
teacher
ネガティブな
sits you
フィードバッ
down to like, what do you want to do when you grow up? I always drew like dentist or like me playing game. I guess it is kind of.
たくさん来たけどパッチでどんどん直していって11は完成したんだから14も大丈夫だと最初は絶対こうなんだっていう風に
You made it.
判断したの
You made
で
it.
ベータを
Thank you.
終わらせてリリースへ踏み切ったっていうのが当時のジャッジだったって僕はチームに入ってからインタビューをしてそれを確認したのでチームの中ではやっぱり議論はあったそうです。あのままじゃダメまずいっていう話は。ただ最終的なジャッジは今お話しした通り11の時もそうだった。でも11だってずっとパッチを続けてああなったじゃないかと。
Eventually, corporate realized that this wasn't usual launch problems, so they called on a few select members of the team to create a task force. This task force would research what changes the game needed and the resources the development environment would require to do the work. Members of that team would talk to Yoshida-san about their worries after hours. His thoughts were that the current organizational structure would need to be modified if the team was going to make the changes required. In October of 2010, Yoshida-san talked to the then Square Enix president Yoichi Wada and suggested they initiate
president
a
looks
company-wide
really young.
emergency to get the team the resources they needed. Wada-san spent a few days talking to the 14 development team about their concerns, and while a lot of the team had suggested that the current task force was in fact up to the task, some members of the 14 team had pleaded to have Yoshida-san join the project to help. And so it transpired that in late November, corporate took the decision to remove Hiromichi Tanaka from the team and move Nobuaki Komodo from director to lead designer. Both of their vacant positions would be filled by Yoshida-san. At that time, he was leading a team that was working on an original IP for Square Enix. He was disappointed to leave that team, but excited for the opportunity to work on one of the company's crown jewels, a numbered Final Fantasy game. So, he got right to work.
やらなきゃいけないことは当時3つあると思ってて、まあ順番にやってったんですけど、まずそのチームにまあ
They saved it hard, man.
ト
They
ップが変
saved
わり
it
ます。で
hard.
あとそのタスクフォースメンバーもそのまま開発コアとしてリードに 入りますっていう当然話をしなきゃいけ
He
ない。
has so many ranks. That's why he has so much stats. He's
ただ
smart.
僕はドラゴンクエストが
Those are like 500 Intel plus right
多かったので、そのほとんどのスタッフを知らないというか、まあ顔と名前ぐらいは知ってるスタッフはいたけど、その一緒に仕事したことがある人がほとんどいなかったので、まず Say hello っていうところからで、一度もみんな仕事したことがないから、どんな仕事をする人間なのかを見てくれればいいよってまずで、あ、こいつダメだと思ったらチーム抜けて構わないからっていう話を最初にして、一緒に仕事してみよう。でも1回はいいよねって。でそれでダメだと思ったら本当すぐ抜けて構わないから3ヶ月ぐらいまず一緒にやろうよっていう話を僕スピーチでした記憶があります。でまあもう1回チャレンジするよ。まあ当然その時その申請するなんて話はまだ計画がなかったので、とにかく立て直しをやるよと、ギブアップはしないよっていう話をした時に、僕を知ってる何人かはよしやるぞっていう人たちと、もういい、もう無理だよっていう人たちと、なんだよこの急な体制変更って言ってまあ怒ってる雰囲気の人たちとっていうのが大体の。
This is basically like you write an essay over like 7 weeks or 7 days, and then the teachers like rewrite the whole thing, and you're like, right? That's like the employees. They worked on the game for years, and they're like, we're gonna read the whole thing, like,
雰囲気でしたね。まあそんな中で今も
I hated
サ
that.
ウンドディレクターやってる総研が、まあその話をしてた時と大きな
I swear to God, writing essays, I mean, for me at
僕の
least,
マイク
or
の
for a lot of
調整と
people,
か
I
やって
feel
く
like
れ
it's
て、
useless shit.
その総研があいつだけですよやり直す
I
っていう
hated
か
writing
その
essays.
リベンジするぞって言ったらガッツポーズしてたのはあいつだけです。今でも覚えてますよ。2階席でおっしゃーってやってたんで、あいつ。
I saw both reactions. I saw the, oh my God, we just went through a year of hell, and now he's asking us to go through a year and a half of hell to this point that might, be another failure, because no one had taken a game and rebuilt it in this manner before. So basically he's saying like, yeah, you just have to trust me, and yeah, you could waste another year and a half of your life and it could be a failure, and but you're gonna have to believe me on this one. And so yeah, a lot of people are like, I can't do this anymore, I don't know. And I can understand that, because again, it was a gamble. But then on the other hand, there were, a lot of us, myself included, but a lot of people on the team that were like, no, we worked so hard on this, and we did our jobs the best that we could. For
Freaking Lollapels, dude, they make me
some
laugh.
Circumstances that were out of our control. Decisions made by higher ups, decisions made by other teams that affected our work, and nothing that we could do about it. But we had put our all into it, and we were invested in the project. We still believed in the project. To have someone from the outside come in, and not just come in to say, okay, forget it, we're just going to do it my way or the highway. He's like, he asked our opinions.
I'm not going
laid out a
to
roadmap.
that.
He gave us a vision and a hope, and even though it seemed like it would be difficult to achieve, it didn't seem inconceivable.
Yoshi P knew there was no time to wait. He worked with corporate to make sure the team had time off, both for them to relax, but also to give him time to build his new vision, to do research playing other MMOs, and to help draft his plan to deliver the vision and how the team was going to do it. They had very little time to fix this game, so once they started, the specifications document would have to be watertight, and as captain of the ship, he needed to be able to answer every question the team may have, quickly.
Yoshida-san was now at the helm of his first Final Fantasy, and as an avid MMO fan, he was looking forward to getting in there and fixing it. What he couldn't have known at this stage was the scale of the job ahead of him, that no matter how much they patched Final Fantasy XIV Online, they couldn't ever fix it. What they'd have to do was something that no developer had ever done, to rebuild an entire MMO while the original version was still running.
I don't think that they realized immediately that it was something that couldn't be solved via patches. I think they still believe that, if we patch it, it'll be fine. And it wasn't until they reevaluated and then brought in the new blood.
I would definitely play it. If WoW did this, dude, I would definitely play New WoW and try it out.
We're going to have to take a drastic step.
Yoshida spent 7 weeks researching and returned with 2 options for corporate. It was then he realized that it would be impossible to convert the current game into an MMO that could last the test of time. Ultimately though, this was a decision that corporate had to make. So he returned with not 1, but 2 plans. Plan A and Plan B. During this meeting, he explained that Plan A would be to patch the game and make it more playable, but that ultimately the game would never really satisfy players, and though Square Enix may make their money back, the damage to the online brand would be catastrophic. And then there was Plan B.
今のファイナルファンタジー4、当時のオリジナルのファイナルファンタジー14をパッチを当てて、そのできる限りポジティブに遊べるものにしながら、裏で全く新しいそのファイナルファンタジー14をもう一度作り直すっていうのがプラン B で、まあその話だけを聞くと、まあそんなバカなってなるので、当然どうやってそれを達成するか、チームを2つに分けて、でどういったそのマネジメントスタイルでそれをやるのかで、大体発売時期はプレイステーション3版をリリースするっていうのがプレイヤーとの約束だったので、
Well, you can play Final Fantasy in PlayStation 3?
寿命が来る前にリリースしなきゃいけないので、2012年年末から2013年中には絶対リリースできるこの計画であればっていうプレゼンテーションをして、リスクは高い、ただ当然そんなことをしたことはないし、ゲーム業界でしかも同じタイトルで作り直してるから、うまくいったとしても成功するかどうかはわからない。ただ少なくともやっぱりファイナルファンタジーってクレイジーだねとか、すごいことするねとか、少なくとも自分たちがミスしたことを認めて信頼を取り戻そうとしたっていう努力は、見てくれてる人は多分見てくれるだろう。
The damage they done to the franchise of Final Fantasy name, I bet this is giving them the most money now, right? Dude, their company must be so proud of Final Fantasy 14.
で、まあ、結果的にはね、プラン B でって言ってくれたんで、今こうなってますけど。
100%.
I mean, anyone can come in and say, "Oh yeah, we're gonna rebuild the game. Follow me." But he came in with, this huge Excel that had all of these lists of everything on it. What we're gonna do here. What we're gonna do here.
Wow,
this is when
that's
we're
a
gonna
good
do
leader,
this is what
dude.
we're gonna do here, and to see
That's
that,
a
like,
good
okay,
leader.
this isn't just a stopgap type of thing where a president's like, okay, crazy here, let's just change the leader and hopefully things will, get better. It was an actual, okay, this guy really wants to do this. He has this plan.
Yoshida had them running like a well-oiled machine, so it was time to get to work. First things first, they had to start the rollout of patches for 1.0, but a critical part of the failure of the first game was the poor communications the development team had with their community. So to keep diehard fans on board during this protracted period of redevelopment, they had to be a lot more transparent.
確かに、まあ、今の14のそのユーザーベースから見れば、当時のユーザーベースはまあものすごい小さかったと思う。まあ今と比較すれば。ただ、まあメディアの皆さんからもそのプレイヤーからも、そのファイナルファンタジー14はもうダメだ。むしろなんであんなダメなゲーム遊んでるの君たち。どうかしてるんじゃないのって言われながらも、いやファイナルファンタジーシリーズだから絶対何とかしてくれるはずだ。いや。これはこれで僕らは楽しんでるからほっといてくれ。
I think people are like open to it. If they say they're gonna remake or relaunch the thing, I think people are open to it. Or maybe not WoW Play, I don't know. Because whenever I talk about like, what if WoW did a WoW 2 and redid the whole thing? There's people like, no man, I found my mount, no, I have these title. I think I have more than the people that say don't do it, but I wouldn't mind it if it was to make a better game. Was to implement more Final Fantasy elements in the game because at the time were no specific jobs. There was no paladin, there was no black magic, there was no white magic. Oh, there was no jobs. Did this guy actually save the game then? He put jobs in? You couldn't ride chocobos? Dude, he actually saved the game. I felt like we needed to do something was put in those elements. Ifrit, Garuda. Oh, he put Ifrit and Garuda. Did this guy save the game, man? What was in the game? What the hell was in the... Dude, what? You roleplay as a guard, got it.
何よりジョブがないのも FF じゃない。
A job system as well. They want
僕は
specific
FF だと
jobs,
思わない。
identify Final Fantasy, the job system,
ジョブを
so
ちゃんと入れて
we had to
こう
revise and revamp the
でも
interface
それは
and the
やっ
battle
ぱりさっき言っ
system.
たようにインターフェースとバトルシステムが治ってなければいいものにはならない。
And found the foundation of the element and implemented
ま
them.
あだから回収
I was going
をやりながら
through that and created different specifications for the elements. And slowly but surely, I didn't notice that response to the change that was
そこ
being
からやっ
made.
ぱりグッドゲームの評判は
People sent mentions saying, "Oh yeah, this
やっぱり
is a good
旧ゲーム
game."
良くなっていって、
Oh.
プレイヤーもずっと
A number of
増えて
players also have steadily, more steadily,
あ
but
れは僕らも
increased.
すごい励まされましたね。
That is very
ちゃんと面白い
good.
の作っていけばみんなプレイをしてくれるっていうのも
We were making good, solid game. People appreciated that.
当時の7つ
At the time, we released several jobs. I forgot what patch, but we put in 7 jobs at the same time.
いっぺんに実装されたんですけど、たった一人のゲームデザイナーが
That was a single game designer that was handling that. What? Dude, one designer handling that? Blizzard, you're taking notes, or? Gamer music
Over the coming
on.
months, the team would release patch after patch for 1.0. 1.17 introduced 8-player parties and more stable network infrastructure. 1.18 dropped in June 2011 and was a huge patch that made the game much more playable. Level caps lowered for story quests. It added grand companies, class adjustments, instance dungeons, and auto attack. Yes, would you believe this game still didn't have auto attack? It featured a more user-friendly map interface and also scrapped the controversial fatigue system.
And so we need to take this concept that Yoshida-san has created, make it fit with the current world, write stories around it, make the transition seem seamless, and then in the new world, make it so that there's still some connection with that old world that will be understood by those core players, but won't alienate new players. It won't be something like, oh, you didn't play that old, the stuff in 1.0, so you're going to be completely lost, because we don't want to do that either. We want to get new players to come that didn't play the original one, and we don't want to have them have to play the original to understand this one. And so trying to work the story that way was, it was challenging, but it was a lot of fun. We got to try a lot of things. We had a lot of freedom, then especially on the 1.x stuff.
Nice, guys. This guy looks like the nicest guy
in
ever.
a sense, it would only be released, seen for a few months, and then it would be gone forever. And so, on one hand, that's really exciting because we can do whatever we want. We can create these crazy stories, have these crazy characters, all these crazy situations, and go, balls to the wall. But on the other hand, we're working day and night on something that only a few thousand people are going to see and will be gone in 6 months. I really think, I look back at it now, I think we did a lot of our best work during that one point. And it's sad that no one is ever going to see that. Maybe, there's some videos up on YouTube where people can still go back and check them out. But a lot of, some of the best stories, some of the most crazy stuff went on during that 1.x period because it was pretty much no holds barred. Anything can happen. You had crazy cults, and you had people from the Garlean Empire. There was propaganda, giant dragons and machines, and it was just anything.
You guys are trolling, dude. I don't want to play this video while this song is up.
At the very first time, it was just some rumor between players. Oh, is it getting bigger? No, I don't think so.
This was also when Square Enix announced that an entirely new version of the game had been in development since January, and that current players would receive copies of it for free. They also announced that players' character data and progress would be transferred to this new version, what they were then calling version 2.0. A roadmap for patches was outlined, and it was announced that monthly fees would be reinstated as of January 2012. As an incentive for players to keep playing while the fees were introduced, they announced Legacy Campaign, which rewarded players who paid for at least 3 months of service with permanently reduced monthly fees. Those players would also get an exclusive Chocobo mount, while as a thank you for their support during the redevelopment, their names would be featured in the credits of the new game.
So we should have played back then.
10月14日に
Wow, they know how to thank their loyal fans. Meanwhile, me and Stoops over here playing WoW. Thank God.
新しいゲームとして作り直してますっていう発表を同時に
Yeah, your name shows up in the credit scene too, chat. How crazy is that?
えどうなるこのままアップデートしていくんじゃないの一体どうなるのこの先楽しかったですよ
1.2 was the final patch of 2011. It saw all the servers renamed, while the moon Dalamud now seemed larger in the sky.
Oh
1.21
shoot! That's actually so cool. So that moon is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's
came in
gonna
March
crash.
2012, introducing
No
a new
way,
job
dude, that's
system
so
and 2 new
cool.
dungeons. 1.22
That's
followed
so
in April.
cool,
Dalamud
man.
grew closer, and now some players are beginning to have nightmares.
That's
Ominous
actually
dreams
so
greet
cool.
players who log into the game while at an inn. The community all the while
Wow.
trying to figure this out. Is the moon going to destroy the world? Then how will player data be saved in 2.0? They wouldn't have to wait long.
Yeah,
for
Fortnite
answers.
do
That
these
summer,
stuff.
a trailer
I actually
revealed that
think that's so
2.0
cool.
would be titled A Realm Reborn, and Yoshida-san
That's
conducted
so
numerous
cool,
interviews
man.
explaining the future of the game and the features players can expect. On September 12, 2012, the final patch for
That trailer
1.0
gave
was
me
released.
goosebumps.
The
It's
game
so
updates to 1.23b, and with it comes an enormous Dalamud.
Wow.
Its mechanical outer shell now in full
It
view.
must have been
Players
so
now
cool to
realizing
see that.
this world didn't have long left. On November 1st, 2012, a final in-game battle began.
That's so
Square Enix made
cool.
entry free for the final week of the game, while a
Entry
haunting song could
free?
be heard playing on the wind across the entire realm. While the
Oh
server
my God,
struggled
that's
to deal
so
with the load,
cool.
players got together with their friends one last time, as the development team in Japan spammed enemies outside capital cities. One group of players outside of Gulda has become legendary, attempting to protect the city with what we now call the Great Gobu Wall.
Wow. Dude, that's so cool. That's so
Right
cool,
before
man.
Download hit Elzer, we had to do some
That is
chaotic
so
situation
cool.
to the existing world. So what we decided to do is to spawn the strong enemies at the near the main cities. Even when I popped the very strong, Manticore or the mobile or the giant monsters, players kill instantly.
The trailer is
instantly.
cooler.
Yeah, just snap.
Get outta here, dude.
Jesus. So you killed my monster again. So what we can do is just keep spawning the lots of monsters, and then in very late night when I was doing, keep spawning the monsters. The one programmer just, I've never talked to him before, but just coming down to my desk and then just give me a bit of paper with some numbers, which numbers I can understand. This is the number of the certain monster.
Okay.
I can type in so that I can spawn a very new
That's so
stronger
cool.
monsters. Oh, okay, thank you very much. It's a program. So that was a very fun moment.
You're like playing God.
At first, I felt like God. Hey, players, can you beat my monsters? But no. I was very weak God.
They were God.
Yeah, they were God.
So it was
This is
then, on
awesome.
Sunday, November 11th, 2012, just over a
Dude,
year
this
after
trailer's
Final
so
Fantasy
good,
XIV
man.
was originally launched, with Dalamud hanging in the sky, that the servers were finally turned off. And as they did, a trailer dropped, showing players what was to become
This trailer's
of their
so
old
good.
home.
The trailer's so good, man. Such a good trailer. Yeah, dude, imagine the people that played throughout and saw the trailer and got to jump in the new world at that time. Oh my, dude, they would have been cooming. They must have been cooming like, holy cow, our game is good. That must have been hype as shit.
Well, it's pretty simple. You had something that not a lot of people liked.
You guys are ruining the...
Everyone wanted to forget about it. So rather than, just taking that and doing it over, and just reimagining it, why not destroy that and start over? If we leave too much of that original core there, then it will just
I love
linger
this
on
boss.
as
This
that
boss was
kind
so
of cancer
fun.
that, will always bring us back to that
The
failure.
music, dun
Why
dun
not
dun
just clean the slate?
dun
But on the other
dun
hand,
dun dun.
and this is
I was heading to the event in Shibuya. I took the train that morning. Of course, there were more rehearsals to be done. We're about to release, it's time. Oh, they're about to release the game. I was standing by the doors of the train. And I was standing to the right side of the door. Then, to my left, I saw a college student. Green color shirt. Takano's game? Oh, no way, dude. He walked closer to me. in a very small voice and said,
すっと僕のところに寄ってきて小声で
Mr. Yoshida, he told me. This is so wholesome.
本当に発売おめで
I
とう
really
ござ
want
い
to
ます
congratulate you
プレイヤ
on the
ーです
release. I'm a
って言わ
player.
れたんです
Wow, dude, I would have cried.
でそんな状況
That
で
happened while we were going to the event. Wow.
で
Dude, he's actually crying. Dude, I'm gonna cry, chat.
まあみんなでその
We're on the stage, talked about how we're gonna go to the background
話を
event.
まあステージでしていて最後
That's sad.
まあマイクが当たってきて話をしようとしたら
Finally, the mic was passed to me, so I recalled what happened in the
ことを
train
ちょ
that
っと思い
morning.
出しちゃっていやいろいろあったな
Don't
ー
cry.
って
I'm gonna cry,
思っ
dude.
たら言葉に詰まっちゃった瞬間にその来てたプレイヤーたちお客さんたちがこう頑張れって言われちゃって
Damn.
もう
All that hard
話
work.
したように MMO って発売してもそれがゴールじゃないスタートなのでなんかあんまり干渉に浸ってる暇なんて本来ないんで
I lost.
思わずこうプレイヤーにこう頑張れって言われたせいで
Calling the audience and cheering me on just got me. Damn.
恥ずかしかったですね
運営を続
Damn.
けていこうと思います。本当にありがとうございます。そしてこれからもどうぞよろしくお願いします。
Come here, you. Almost 3 years after the original launch, Final Fantasy Realm Reborn was released to PC and PlayStation 3 on August 27, 2013. Behind the scenes, Square Enix had suffered disastrous 2013 physical year, resulting in a loss around 10 billion yen, $100 million to fix this. Dude, Blizzard would never invest like that. There's no way. That guy in his yacht, you think he will... They couldn't afford another failure. Wow. Wow. That's crazy.
Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn is a great MMORPG experience on both PC and PlayStation 3. Grounded in tradition and learning from the lessons of the games that preceded it, it thrives on the strengths of its excitingly varied and flexible class system and highly mobile combat.
The game's rough launch is mostly over, but you still might have to contend with login errors. But this is, by and large, a very good massively multiplayer game, filled with lots of stuff
That's what
to
I
do,
played.
gorgeous vistas to behold, and lots of adorable narrative touches.
The challenge ahead for Square is to achieve the delicate balance of questing, dungeons, and fates for the second half of the leveling process, as well as it has the first. But considering the stunning reversal of fortune that Square has achieved here, it seems like
8.6
anything is possible.
So what was it like then on your end?
Damn,
after,
so
years
happy.
working on this game, having the launch,
Of
basically
relief.
being required to work on 2 separate games at the same time, patching one and then building an entirely new one, almost in secret for...
Oh my god. Wait. So
And-
they were actually patching the game that they had and working on a secret project in the back. Dude. You know what Blizzard did in BFA? They left that into the dirt and they were making Shadowlands. Oh my god, dude. We didn't have a single patch for such a long time. Do you remember the last patch of BFA? Dude, it was so long, man. And we got no juice. No juice.
Like, what was it like reading reviews and reading messages?
No juice,
People were like,
chat.
oh, fuck, they did it.
It was, yeah, I mean, we were just as surprised.
That's crazy.
I mean, not as surprised because again, it was definitely different. You know, in those months before releasing the original, I mean, I knew that the game wasn't.
The original still looks good, chat.
And so it's kind of, you're lying to
I
yourself, trying to
lost.
say, no, this is going to be good. They're going to like this part. They're going to like this part. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. But with A Realm Reborn, playing it's like, this is a really good game. I mean, you're playing it, like, enjoying it, you know. But there's still that little bit in the back of your mind that's like, you know, and it's what we were told, is that once the game has been reviewed, even if you try to rebuild it, everyone's going to remember the old. They're not going to look at the new. And Metacritic never forgets. When 14 came out, the original, and it was maybe people are like, okay, I think, you know, I'm a hardcore offline Final Fantasy guy, but I'll try out this new one. But then, okay, it's terrible. See, I knew it. It's terrible.
Oh, they're
not gonna
making
wanna come back for a second. It's like,
16.
no, I already
No
played it. It was
way,
terrible.
man.
And so there was just this feeling that even if it's a really great game, no one's gonna play it. They're just.
So
Gonna,
I actually
brush
had
it
a
off.
talk with Clack and Arrow today, and I got tilted because like Clack have never played Final Fantasy, but he's like, the game looks like shit, and I was like, dude, you're so. I hated Clack today, dude, because even for me as a WoW player, I didn't want to play Final Fantasy, but I gave it a try because a lot of people were saying positive things about it. So I was like, you know what, I'll give it a try and give it an honest rating. That's why I started the episodes on my second YouTube channel and was giving an honest critique about it. The Clack today, I was like, Clack, if you're bored, you should try this. Because he has nothing to do. He's like, Savix, I don't know what to make for my content. I'm like, you should try this. And he's like, no, the game looks so bad, dude. And he doesn't want to play. He's not going to play it for sure, but.
Because it's the.
I hate it when
Oh,
people
it's
don't
the-
try
it's
it and
the
then
bad
they say it's
Final Fantasy
bad.
Online.
I feel like that's
I
the
tried,
worst take on
you know,
it.
in beta and it sucked. So I'm
Like,
not
they
gonna
shouldn't
play
be
it.
able to say it's bad if
So
they
yeah,
haven't
we
tried
were
it.
afraid of that, but then, wow, it was just.
Yeah.
I mean, servers.
If he tried it and he didn't like it,
breaking,
fine.
not
But
breaking, but like servers.
if he didn't
getting
try it, he shouldn't say
so
it's
packed with
bad.
people
I don't
in
like
those
that.
first few days, and then seeing the reviews come in, and you know, they saved, and then they start saying things like, you know, you saved the franchise, and you know, you saved the series, and I don't know, remembering what it was like, you know, at their launch of 1.0, and then just being able to.
Pretty much. No, he's my friend, Chad. Don't bash on it. It was just I was just triggered earlier because he said that to me.
And we did, and it was a great experience to be able to say, it was just that vindication of like all of that extra work that we had put in. It was what Yoshida-san had promised us. If we worked hard and we did this right, that in a year and a half's time, you know, we can do this. And a lot of people didn't believe him, and you know, a normal person probably wouldn't believe him. But I mean, maybe that's why we were able to do it, because all of the abnormals remained and made something that was, you know, literally impossible happen.
やっぱりサーバーがあまりに
Service
も
was
そう
crowded.
混
We
雑し
saw
て
people not being able to play.
遊べない
They had gone out of their
せっかく
way to purchase the
パッケージでお
game,
金を
but
出
they
して買っ
can't
てきたの
play.
に
That's ridiculous.
ゲームが遊べないとは何事だ、まあ、
And of
オンラインゲー
course,
ムだ
an
から当然サー
online
バーに
game.
繋がらないと遊べないので
So you had been able to connect to the
なんか
servers.
評価とか以前の問題で
Before even worrying about the
買って
review,
もら
in
ったのに
fact,
遊べない
they
状
were
況を
creating
作っていること
accounts.
自体
I
が
didn't mean to anticipate this. So many people could play this game.
僕にとって
So
はショ
that,
ッ
of
ク
course, oh, it's so
あんな
fast. I
に
can't
来
read
ると
it.
はもちろん思ってなかったっていうのも
You can
要因
react
で
to
すけど
the reviews.
だから評価云々の前にまずちゃんとゲームに接続して遊べるようにしなきゃっていうことばっかりが当時の1ヶ月半ぐらい出荷を停止したりとか
And so we
販売を
paused
停
the
止したり
shipping.
とか
Units or selling. Did they actually pause selling the game because people couldn't log in? Wow, respect. I actually respect a lot, dude. That actually like respect boom. Because a lot of companies, even though it's crowded and you can't even go into the server, they would like continue selling it, right? That's respectable.
それしか全然覚えてないですね
With most
That's
other
actually very
genres, this would be
respectable.
the part of the story where we fade to black and roll credits, but such luxuries don't exist in the world of massively multiplayer online games. In fact, after the release of A Realm Reborn, or 2.0 as they call it internally, the team applied the same content-rich patching schedule they had undertaken with 1.0, releasing a significant 2.x patch to the game every 3 to 4 months. Over the next 2 years,
my
these
class.
patches progressed the story of ARR, added in epic raids and new modes such as 72-player PvP battles. But just like before, while the team was working on these 2.x patches, they were concurrently building an updated version of the game. The first expansion pack, Heavensward.
Heaven. I'm about to play that, chat. I'm about to play
4
Heaven.
年の
Wait, when was Heaven out? What the? Dude, I'm about to play Heaven. You guys are saying Heaven's really good. It was out in 2000. Dude, I'm playing old content and I'm having fun. What the front door, dude?
9月10月ぐらいかな
Dude, I've only played ARR.
にも吉田さん申請したら楽になるって言ってませんでしたっけって
I kind of like that in a game where I'm able and allowed to play the old content. Oh, dude, my cat press forward. Because in a lot of other MMOs, you can't really play the old content, right?
バカ MMO これだけ
Or
巨
raid.
大な規模の MMO は
And in one MMO I won't name, like, you get the game, and you just race to max level fast as possible, and then you start doing your content. But I like how in this game, the content is like the leveling. It's like old classic WoW. Classic WoW, old one. I don't know why, with my brothers, I had fun just exploring. I didn't even have my mount, but we would just walk around and do fun stuff. It's like, it gives me that energy in the Final Fantasy XIV. Whereas in, you know, the newer MMOs, you're like, oh, I need to race to max level fast so I could start doing fun stuff. But in this game, like, the fun stuff is the leveling and all the stuff on the side. So I don't feel like I'm forced to go max level right away.
最初のエクスパンションパック出すところまでがスタートダッシュなんだよって言ってごめんねって
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I like it. It's a good game, man.
What was in our minds was, you know, not having another letdown. Don't take for granted that the rebuild was a success. We can't just expect our users to say, oh, they're going to release expansion, so we can do whatever we want, and doesn't matter, they'll buy it, ha ha ha. You know, there was no.
Yeah, I wonder what company says that. Check. Can we re-listen to that real fast? Oh, they're gonna release another expansion, so we can do whatever we want, and it doesn't matter. They'll buy it. Dude. Oh my god, that's been our whole life, man. I remember having a call with Stoops. Stoops is in the chat. I'm like, dude, Battlefield Azeroth is gonna be the best. It says Battlefield, it's like Alliance versus Horde. PvP is gonna be insane. Dude, Shadowland is gonna be insane. It's gonna save WoW. Dude, this is us on Copium every year, man.
So we can do whatever we want, and doesn't matter, they'll buy it, ha ha ha. You know, there was none of that sense. One good thing that came out of the failed launch is that it's instilled into, you know, the...
I got a BFA tattoo. Dude, I told you guys this last time. Ambani and I were in call. He's another really good player of WoW chat, another WoW refugee. And he's like, Savix, I need to tell you this. This is something I regret the most. He says inside his wedding ring, it says for the Alliance. And his wife says for the Horde. And he says he regretted that.
The developers, all of the developers' minds that, you know, we have
oh
to
my god, it says that inside his ring, chat.
You know, let
That's
our guard
so
down.
funny.
It's in everyone's mind, and it's always lurking back there. We don't want to repeat that, and because of that, everyone is like always on the top of their game.
Man.
Is that still there even now? Because it's been 3.5 years.
Well, I mean, yeah, the old
no,
guard,
Ambani loves
yes,
WoW. I
we
feel
all have
bad.
that. We all have that. But it's not all the old guard anymore. People have moved off onto other projects. Some people have left the company to go freelance, you know, explore new opportunities. A lot of new people have come in. And so a lot of people, don't remember, you know, what happened in 1.0 because they weren't
summer
there.
children.
That's right.
Does the wife know? Yeah,
Exactly,
they're both
exactly.
fans of WoW.
And you know, us old timers can tell them, well, back in my day, we did it. And they'll be like, yeah, okay, whatever. And you know, sometimes it does feel like that. There's always the chance that, you know, you can just get too full of yourself and not do 100%, not learn from your mistakes, and that, you know, the community was like, no, we're done. And, you know, we were lucky to be given a second chance.
ないっていうふうに絶対にならないようにっていうのが14のゲームデザインの根幹にある。なぜなら今本当にみんな忙しい。一つのゲームだけになんだろう毎日なんだろう。
I don't think everybody could log in every day and put in the time to play.
ログインし
Yes.
続けられるわけじゃない。それはもともと MMO が大好きな僕ですらそうなので、そう考えたときに遊びたいときに遊んで、メジャ
I
ープレ
think
イ
it's
が来たら
okay
一気に遊ん
to
で、
come back when there's a major gameplay.
落ち着いて他のゲームも遊ん
Play
で、
the content that eventually wean or slow
サー
out,
ビスをしたり、
and maybe play other
でまたメジャー
games.
が来たら、
Or
それ
spend
でいい
quality
と
time
思
with
う
your
し、
family. I think moving
これから
forward,
の MMO はそう
MMO
じゃないと多分や
have
って
to
い
be
けない。
like that, or else it won't
やっ
stand
ぱ
a
り大き
chance.
くゲーム1本分の新しい体験が来たとき、全員集合して最新の
That's a good. I like this dev chat. He's growing on to
そ
me
れ
a
が
lot.
基本ベースにある。
I can see why you guys like
やっ
him.
ぱりそのパッチの間で上がり下がりはする。ただ 評判を聞いてずっと増え続けていくっていうのが理想だと思ってるし、14はそれでやれてきてるので、ただもっともっと遊んでほしい、たくさんの人にと思ってるので。
I love more people to come back. Dude, I bet he's so happy with what. I'm happy for him.
The latest expansion pack, Stormblood, comes hot on the heels of 2 years worth of 3.
Wow, this graphic looks good. What is this? I haven't seen this.
X
scene.
patches, which have added fresh storylines and features to Heavensward. With
These
it
are
comes increased level
spoilers,
caps,
chat.
new
I haven't
dungeons,
seen
jobs,
these.
raids, zones, and some changes to the battle system. Stormblood will also mark the end of the game's lifetime on the PlayStation 3, but of course in the intervening years, the team has since launched the game on the PlayStation 4. Final Fantasy XIV had been a financial disaster for Square
I'll
Enix.
close my eyes.
Subscriptions were turned off for most of the 1.x era, and the company poured significant funds and trust into the team tasked with its rebirth. The importance of this franchise to the company is mirrored by its importance
so
to its
cool.
players and of course the development team. This is a group of people who have dedicated years
Thank you
into
for your
ensuring
hard
that this
work.
game
Aw.
came back from the dead.
自分スクエア長いんですけれども、あんまり変な言い方ですけど、こう会社に対して帰属意識とい
I
うか
don't really feel a sense of being tied down or belonging to the company.
やっぱりゲーム作るって
After all, we're
誰と
creating
一緒に
games.
作る
That's
か
so
がすごく
important.
あの
Yeah, you see
大切
that
で、そこ
Blizzard?
が
See that Blizzard? How they respect? This is what a good company is. Hold.
一番重要だなと思っているんで、今回のプロジェクトは本当に組んでみたいというスタッフと組んですごく大きなことがやれて、すごい楽しかったし楽しいですねって感じではい。
He seems so friendly. Dude, I like these people.
まあ強調したいことがあるとすれば、その初日に 1.0 の話をしてましたけど、
I want to emphasize was, as I mentioned on the first day, it's no mistake of a single person, nor it was the development team's
と
problem.
いうことではなくて、やっぱり今でも本当に会
This is
社
a
自
good
体
video,
の
chat.
大きな
I like this video.
街
10 out of 10.
が
Perhaps
少し
some
安心して
people
る
may
人
have
たちも今
started
い
to
るの
feel
か
a
もしれ
bit
な
more
いけど、
stable at this point,
まだまだ変わらなきゃ
but
いけないと思って
I
い
feel
る
like
の
we
で、
should still change more.
なんかそのあたりがうまく
So I hope we're able to
伝わって
convey
る
through
と
that
いいなとは
through
思
our
います。
interviews.
これは
I like that. Jungnam, thank you, man. John, I'm gonna link the video. That was a good video.